Welcome to the Film Bazaar. Your one-stop shop for everything you didn't know you needed to watch this weekend. I am your host, Ethan Hutchison.
And I'm the co-host, Jeff Hannock.
And today, we're going to be talking about Charlie Kaufman's newest film, I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Jeff, how do we feel about this one?
It's definitely the best one we've watched so far. I mean, comparing to Beach Bum, that abysmal film, and then The Platform, which was pretty middle of the road, this was a lot better than those two, especially in the amount of dialogue it had. And
gorgeous dialogue throughout this entire thing, for sure. It's definitely a highlight for me.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time on this script, and you can tell, at least in the beginning. I liked it for the most part. It definitely fell apart for me in the third act, and Ethan can talk about that. But
yeah, I don't think the entire third act completely falls flat. I actually like quite a few sequences that happened in that area. I just think, I mean, as you've mentioned, the ending is definitely leaves something to be desired.
I do want to mention this. I'm not going to obviously spoil it, but they tease some things in the ending that are really frustrating to me. Yeah, we can talk about that more later. Yeah. But Ethan, wouldn't you agree? Like, they tease those things. You're just like, why? Why wouldn't you just go all in?
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. But I'll be honest with you. I mean, that's pretty much where my frustration with the film starts and ends. Like, I would have done a few things differently, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'll probably watch it again. I know you feel different about it, but I'll probably watch it at least another time.
Other than Jake's frustration as a person, I could agree. Yeah, Jake is like probably the person you would not want to be in the car with for like longer than 20 minutes.
Which is hilarious because the entire first act of this film takes place in a car ride with the man himself,
going on.
Jake. Yeah,
again. Oh boy.
So I guess let's start talking about this. So we open in on the film. We have girl. She's not given a name. She is known...
young woman.
Yeah, young woman in the credits. That's what she's listed as. And we see her with some beautiful, beautiful music playing out throughout this entire thing. But score opens up, and she starts going on this road trip with her boyfriend. She at the beginning of the movie, she claims they've been dating for maybe about 6-7 weeks.
Yeah,
something like that. Weeks.
It becomes a little unclear later on of how long they dated.
Absolutely. Yeah. This movie takes the concept of the unreliable narrator, and I don't want to say like puts it on its head, but it kind of just like turns it up. Like you have an unreliable narrator, and then you just have unreliable characters within that. And, I mean, thinking about the bigger picture of the film, it's all very unreliable as an entire package, but it makes it engaging. But I can understand that a lot of people are calling this movie confusing, and, I see where they're getting that.
The first act, I will say, is, for the most part, consistent. Like, you're wondering, okay, why is this guy so annoying and weird? But, like, you know, you're still not, like, super confused. But the second act, I would agree with what you're saying. Like, they really start playing with the different characters. And specifically, like, the age. Yeah. So that becomes really interesting. But, yeah, Jake is just a frustrating person. And if you can get past that part, he's just so needy and so, like, insecure. And you're just like, dude, like, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you so... I don't know. It is definitely a mess, for sure. With Jake's character, I mean.
Yeah, Jake's very unlikable right off the bat.
He is so unlikable.
But good thing, young woman carries this film.
Oh yeah,
she is excellent. She's so freaking good. I love her. I need to. I don't know who this actress is, but I need to see her in more stuff. But yeah, I guess we'll start talking about the car ride. I mean, it's not hard to talk about the car ride, but I mean, it's just a car ride. It's like, how much can we say? So the star of the show here really is the dialogue and the subtext of what everything that's being said. There is a young woman recites a beautiful poem here.
Oh, yeah.
to Jake.
I would like to talk about something right before that, though.
Sure.
So this is the first time you, like, I think it's the first time, like, my memory serves me correct, that you get really frustrated with Jake because, so you find out that the young woman is, like, a poet, and she, like, writes, you know, poems and things like that, and he's like, well, would you recite one for me? You know, starts off like a really normal. And then she's like, no, I'm not really feeling it. And he's like, come on, why not? And then she's like, yeah, I'm still not interested. And then he's like, come on, just do it. And I'm like, dude, like, she clearly is uncomfortable and doesn't want to talk about this poem. But the poem is really beautiful. But I'm like, this guy is off. Like, he's just so insecure and just like demanding in such a weird way. And it's just like he's trying to force a connection when there is no connection.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, he is, Jake is very pushy. But
Pushy, that's the word I was trying to think of.
But he's also a coward. He's like every bad trait.
Yeah.
And he's not evil. He's just
unlikable.
Yeah, seriously, he's just, that's the only way to describe him. Yeah, but in this car sequence, they're driving to meet Jake's parents. They've been dating for 6-7 weeks, as we know, and they're going to meet Jake's parents. And, gosh, it's kind of hard to talk about the sequence.
Yeah. So the poem is like, I'm trying to explain this, but like the poem is really like, it kind of has a hopeful beginning a little bit, and then it slowly gets more sad.
I don't think so, because it opens up with talking about like what's waiting for you at home and how much she's dreading what's waiting for you at home.
I thought that was the ending. That starts like that? I might be remembering.
No, the beginning. The beginning is like, it's like you hate coming home, whether it's to a wife or a wife-shaped loneliness waiting for you.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that.
It opens up right off the bat.
It is somber, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, which is already a little bit of a... It's a nice little Easter egg in there of just the diction of what's of how she is like saying what she's saying.
Yeah.
Of the fact that she's speaking from the perspective of a man, and it's like there's what's going on there.
Exactly, and I want to say something. It's kind of funny after the poem, like after this. Now I remember after this somber poem, like something that is just like so dour and sad. He's like, so that's about us, right? Like Jake says, that's about us, right? And I'm like, dude, like that is a red
I know.
flag.
She has this gorgeous monologue.
Yes.
And then Jake just comes in.
Shoehorns
like right
himself.
after he's like, wow. He's like, no, it's beautiful. He does like the minimum, the bare minimum to like reassure her that it's good.
Yeah,
and he's like, wow, I loved that because he pushed her to say it.
Yeah.
And then he's just fishing to cause problems.
Yeah.
I guess we should. Before we even get to there, we should talk about the opening narration by the young woman before they even get into the car. The very first things that are said in this film are, "I'm thinking of ending things."
Yes.
So yeah, title of the film
comes
is one of the
through.
First things. Yeah, comes through in. I'm thinking of ending things. At this point in the story, to us, it means that this is. She's thinking of ending things, and she's kind of worried about going in too deep. And this is pretty much. For her, going to the parents' house is a very different thing than what he thinks that this is going to take the relationship to the next level. For her, this is the final straw. Like how this day goes, decides if she stays with him or not.
Yeah, exactly. And I would like to mention, so during that whole sequence of when she's like, I'm thinking about ending things, you get a couple flashes of an older man in the apartment, like looking down, and we won't go into like what this older man means, but it's the first introduction to a series of flashes of an older man that you later,
Well, I don't know if you remember when she narrates. When she narrates, you're seeing shots from the house, from the parents' house, in the very beginning.
Yeah.
The very first thing you see, yeah, and then it cuts to her apartment, which is kind of interesting. And once you kind of know what's going on, that has quite a bit of weight to it, and it makes more sense. But it's very confusing when you're watching this film straight up. Is there anything else we want to talk about in the car?
Like we already said it. Like Jake is awkward. You don't like watching him. You enjoy the female protagonist, and you're just like, okay, so where's this going? So I guess not. I mean, there's a blizzard going on. They're driving. He's being awkward.
I guess we'll talk about something weird to
no, wait, there is one more thing.
Oh.
The billboard.
That was the weird thing I was going to talk about.
Okay, yes.
So I guess we'll kind of illustrate the kind of surrealism that this down-to-earth drama likes to employ. The young woman, they're driving down this road, and two things happen. First, she sees a perfectly fine swing set in front of an abandoned house in the middle of this blizzard.
And she talks about it so much, and Jake's just like, what? It's just a swing set.
Yeah, Jake doesn't see it either because I actually really don't know why that scene is. He's either trying to make her seem crazy or what, or he's just not caring to look.
He's just being dismissive because he's dismissive in the movie in general. He's a dismissive person. Like, he's like, we'll get there, but yeah. Yeah,
we'll get there. But anyway, they have a little bit of an argument. They get frustrated talking about a correlation between aphids that blow themselves up and like suicide bombers. Really, there's some really fun, dense interactions in this. But I love the way this whole thing is written. But then she goes over and she looks at the billboard while she's in the car. And it's for Tulsi Town, this, as we can gather from the billboard, this ice cream shop.
With a clown mascot for some reason.
Yeah, clown mascot kind of looks like Wendy's.
Wendy's and Ronald McDonald, like,
fused for sure.
Fused.
And then there's a pig on there, and the pig on the billboard moves, looks at her, and just says something like, come follow me?
Join me.
Yeah, it's like, hey, join me. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Just very quick. It's very easy to miss, actually.
We went back because he saw it and I didn't. I was like, wait a minute, hold up. What? This is a live action movie. Why is there an animated pig talking to us? So I was like,
exactly. Very. Yeah.
Something funny I'd like to share is the scenes, like, because we're in the car, it's in the same setting with the blizzard going on. It's the same camera angles for the most part. Mm-hmm. It was very hard to find where we had to go back for that scene. We went back like 3 or 4 times because it looks all the same. I just thought that was funny.
No, absolutely. But she doesn't really think much of that, looking at the sign. And she mentioned something about the status of their relationship. Like, this was, like, they just had a little bit of a fight, and she's like, there's too much. And this is a really interesting theme in this movie. Anytime she tries to address the fact that she might imply that she wants to break up or just talk about their relationship, something in the story happens that to make her stop. So, like, for example, they could have probably driven forever. It's a bit too convenient that as soon as she starts talking about something, Jake cuts her off and says, we're here, and they're at their parents' house in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it is definitely very interesting that it just, like, cuts off like that. And the key word here is, because Jake is trying to talk about their shoehorn, like, motifs almost for their relationship, like, through the whole movie. But if it seems negative in nature, he's like, nope, cut it off, moving on. Because he wants to believe this lie that they're good for each other, but as you see in the car, they clearly aren't. They're both, like, kind of, like, in an uncomfortable way, like, arguing with each other.
Oh, yeah, no, they're...
Like they don't work together, because he's a corrector, and she's just like, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, exactly. She knows who she is.
Yeah.
Jake might as well be clueless.
He's so clueless.
Yeah. But anyway, we're at the house. Mom is in the window, played by the incomparable Toni Collette from Hereditary and many others. She's waving to them down there, and for some reason, they wait for a long time. Yeah, the young woman even comments on this fact. She's like, we've been waiting for an awful long time. It'd be kind of rude to not go in. And Jake says, and he's like, no, I need to stretch my legs.
Yeah, I need to stretch my legs, babe. He says something like that.
Like, stretch my legs, long legs.
Yeah, like, long legs. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, long legs, long drive.
How could you have long legs? Like, I was like, what?
Yeah, exactly. And like, why can't you do that inside? Can you sit down, relax inside, say hi to your parents?
Exactly.
But no, I don't know. For some reason, he decides to take her around, and it is a blizzard. This is a blizzard.
And a depressive farm at that.
Oh, yeah. They go to this farm, looking at the sheep. Young woman has some nice inner monologue about she wonders what it would like to be in a sheep in a smelly place doing nothing all the
sleep,
time.
and poop. That's it. That's all I do. According to her.
Yeah, she's pretty much, she contemplates the simplicity of that. Like, would that be better than what I'm currently going through?
Yeah, exactly.
With Jake. She'd rather be a sheep.
She'd rather be a sheep.
And then she looks at the barn door, and there are some dead lambs, which I gotta be honest, Jeff. You have anything on this? I don't know what the purpose of the frozen lambs are like to the story.
It's for later in the movie. That's what I think. It comes up again.
Okay. If you want to go around back to that as we talk about the story, then I'm fine with that.
I probably will.
Okay, sure.
That's how I thought of it, at least.
Hey, no worries there. But there aren't just sheep in this barn. There are also, well, there used to be pigs. We just see a pile of ash where pigs used to be, and this is probably one of the most frustrating moments of Jake being Jake.
Really? This tops the dinner scene for you?
Up until now,
okay.
Dinner scene takes the cake. We'll get to the freaking dinner scene.
Yeah,
Jake sucks.
Jake is such a whiny baby.
Yeah, Jake absolutely sucks. But in this barn, we see that pile of ash, and Jake goes out of his way to mention that this is where the pigs were. She wasn't looking at it. He calls her over to look at this is where the pigs were. And then she asks what happened to them. And then he has the gall to be like, it's like, oh, no, you don't want to hear about that. And then she's like, it's like, no,
you called me over.
Like you can't do that. Like, come on, you egged me on. Like, you gotta tell me what happened. And then he tells the gruesome story about how after his Jake's dad hadn't fed the pigs for a few days, 2 of them died, and their entire underside was filled with maggots. And the other pigs were eating both of them alive. And
you know what I just thought of?
What?
You know the pig that talks to her?
Yep, I was just about to mention that.
I just thought about this now. Like, that is so much symbolism, because the pig dies with the maggots in them, and then the pig says, "Come join us," or "Come join me." So that is very interesting, and definitely aids to the theme.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, not talk about it too much here, but but knowing about the overall arcing and like the symbolism of the pig and the pig saying, "Come join us." I mean, is the pig really talking to the young woman here?
Yeah,
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting to talk about. That's what I'm saying. For me, it's worth another watch. Let me go get back to it. But anyway, I think that's the end of the farm scene, right? We can go in the house now.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it is. I mean, and during the whole time, he's just like, yeah, it's such a horrible thing, but that's just how it is on a farm. You know, he's like trying to rationalize the fact that maggots are falling out of a pig's stomach. And I'm just like, dude, you were so unlikable. But yeah, we get inside, and we finally, we get inside, and you know, the mom that was like frantically waving, like she's nowhere to be found. Like they walk in, and they're like, he's like, Mom.
Yeah, Mom, Dad. Like he's calling all over the place. Like,
and
hello,
nobody's
I'm
saying
here.
anything until like after like the 5th time or something like that.
No, it's way longer. Because he calls, they're not showing up, and then there's the awkward. Is it even worth mentioning the slipper scene? I mean, it comes back, but I mean, I don't think it's worth talking about.
No, because it's towards the ending.
Yeah.
So
anyway, Jake gives her some slippers because it is cold in the house.
And I will say, it's just like it's a stereotypical, like, you know, this couple isn't working because she's just like, oh, I'm okay, and he's like, are you sure? It's really cold. And then she's like, yeah, I'm sure. And he's like, well, I'll give it to you anyway. And I'm like, dude, like, take a hint. Like, it is. Yeah. It is tough to watch in these moments sometimes, I will be honest with you.
No, absolutely. I mean, not nearly as tough to watch as either of the past films, Beach Bum or The Platform.
No.
Never like to that point. But
on like an uncomfortable, like, awkward level, though. Like, you're just like, dude. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, no, for real. And then they go sit on the couch for a bit. They're just waiting for the parents at this point. Love the atmosphere here.
Did they even
Jeff
say
hated
a word?
it. A little bit. Jake says something in Spanish, which I haven't translated yet. And then she laughs at that, which is very weird because nothing about Jake's character implies that he knows Spanish.
Or that she'll ever laugh at anything he says.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a very bizarre moment. And then you hated this, but there's a beautiful camera pan from the desolate living room to not the living room, sorry, just the atrium, like the foyer.
And I want to clarify, I hated it because it made me feel so uncomfortable. Like, it was
Absolutely.
abrupt. Like, I loved the fact that the camera work was this good in this movie, but it just made me feel uncomfortable, and like I was like, ooh.
Yeah. But it's basically a slow pan from the entryway to the living area, which seems very old. Like
the house is so old. I even asked Ethan, I'm like, when is this? Like, do you know when this like time period is?
Mm-hmm.
And it is so unclear because they have like a radio and a record player that looks like it's from like the, what did you say, 70s, 80s, 60s?
Oh,
even.
60s.
You didn't go 60s?
Easy.
Because actually the 60s is important in this movie because of Oklahoma. I forgot about that. But yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but not much happens in the sequence. I mean, it's genuinely just a lot of uncomfortable sitting around. It's more engaging to watch, especially at that point in the story if you're watching. But we can't really say much about it.
Yeah, we should just skip to the parents and then definitely.
Well, before the parents, we need to talk about the door.
Oh, they do make a comment about the door.
Well, yeah, and we have to meet Jimmy. So. Yeah.
Oh my god, Jimmy. No, not Jimmy.
So good.
Jimmy makes me feel so uncomfortable. He shakes like for like a minute.
Hey, hold on. We don't even know who Jamie is. Who's Jimmy? Why is he shaking? Let's talk about the door first.
All right. Fine.
So we go back
Jimmy.
into the foyer. Jake's standing around. At this point in the story, she's called Lucy. This is what we learned as the young woman's name. She's called Lucy.
Yeah.
And
Lucy.
So Lucy goes over to stand with him. And I don't remember how the door comes up. I think she just asked about it, right?
No, it's the dog first.
No, he doesn't even... the whole reason that the dog...
Oh, wait, because she's like, oh, I need to see the dog. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the door just kind of comes up. It's kind of
so she kind of mentions it. I think she glanced at it when she first came in the house.
Because it has tape on the side and scratches on the side.
There's scratches on the door and there's tape on the outside. Like, okay, like it's trying to keep something in there. So she's nervous about it. So she asks, and Jimmy asks... Jake acts very weird about it.
He's like, it's just a door and the scratches are from the dog.
Yeah, well, he's like, just a... Well, it's even a little more subtle than that. He's like, what? Oh, there's nothing down there. It's just... it's just a laundry room. Like, it's not even worth it. Like, he's
very dismissive of the fact.
Yeah, and then he eventually says, and he's like, if you want me to be honest, I hate the door. And she's like, you have intense feelings about it.
Yeah.
And then she fakes like she's about to like go there, and then he like full stop like stops her from trying to go down there. And then she looks at the scratches, and she had like this grimace on her face, and then she just like her face like goes lifeless. Like, what are the scratches on the door? And then he's like, oh, that's the dog. And he's like, oh, you didn't tell me you have a dog. Like, where is he? And she goes looking around for it. And then he's like, yep, that's the dog. And there's one last thing that's said that's it makes sense in the larger context of the story. You think it's going to be a different kind of payoff, but what he says, he kind of jokes. He's like, hey, I don't want to let him out, you know? Yeah. And then she's like, who's down there? Like, what is in there? Mm-hmm. And then he's like, oh, Jimmy, dog. And then again, just like when she tries to talk about the relationship, way too convenient.
Yeah, moves on.
Well, way too convenient for the dog just appears.
Oh, yeah. I meant more like that. Like, it just happens out of nowhere. Like, you're just like, oh, well, what's on the door? And then he's like, dog!
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Jimmy just comes out of nowhere. But anyway, what I was trying to, like, say is Jimmy shakes for an uncomfortable amount of time because it's almost like he goes through 2 rotations of shaking. Yeah,
so Jimmy's this border collie. Apparently Jake's parents' dog. What?
I said, wow, I knew the breed.
Yeah. And, as soon as Lucy goes down to, like, pet him, he's, shaking himself off. He was probably out in the snow or something.
He's just wet.
But it happens for an uncomfortably long time. And this happens a few times in the movie. But, at the end of the day, I really don't know what that's supposed to represent. I have an idea, but I think it's at the end of the day, it's really supposed to just make you feel uncomfortable.
I watched a little bit of an analysis of this movie this morning because I was just curious what other people thought, and a lot of other people think that it's a pause, like in the story, so that Jake can think of what he's thinking about. You know what I mean?
Okay. I got you there. It's kind of what we were saying when we watched it too. That's exactly. Yeah. So that tracks. Anyway, so after I think while the dog is actually shaking, Jake's parents just casually, conveniently, appear at the top of the steps. They're like, "Oh, hello, good to see you."
Yeah.
And you meet the parents.
And then they're an excuse for taking so long. They're just like, "Hey, we're here.
Mm-hmm.
This is the girl." Ah!
And they're cartoon characters. Toni Collette plays this heightened version of an anxious mother who really just hasn't accomplished much in her life. She's too smiley. Like the fake nice has gone to a point of where it's creepy.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then the father, he's British. Jake is not British. And the first thing you hear him say is it's so corny. I'll see if I can recite it correctly. Oh, are you sure you want cold? It's cold. It's colder than a witch's tit in a brass brazier. And it's like he's a total cartoon character. So you're like, okay, who are these people? And like how did they make such a boring, lifeless, annoying piece of garbage?
Whiny baby. Yeah, he's such a whiny baby, man.
But anyway,
bottle.
Yeah. So then Jake goes to the dinner table, which you see a shot of earlier, which is completely empty, and then the parents walk in there, and then the next shot, Lucy sees it's an entire feast. It's a full spread.
Yeah.
It's a full spread. And
Thanksgiving dinner type.
Yeah, and they just walk down. Like even Jake should be seated, and he was like the earliest one there. They're all perfectly seated, just looking at her, waiting on her.
Yeah.
And
you can tell, like, it throws her off a little bit, too. She's like, oh, okay, well, there's food there now, I guess. I guess I need to join them, you know what I mean? Like, she's thrown off. Like, you can tell that she's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So she's kind of, like, relatable to, like, the viewer in that way.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, just thinking, in this sequence, it reminded me of, I don't know if you've ever been in that seat of, you're going over to your, like, significant other's place, like, for the first dinner. And like you feel like you never want to feel like you're the one being waited on. Like, oh, you're the one like causing problems. Well, you're supposed to be the guest.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, I don't know. I
you're
really
the one you have to impress them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the movie captures that energy perfectly of the balance of trying to be yourself and like actually like being, and then also being like respectful and courteous, and also like being who like your SO's like parents want you to be. So like that energy, that pressure is really captured well.
And like even though the mom and dad are a little uncomfortable with what they say and the way they look, honestly, like they are way more accepting than even Jake is at the dinner table. It is.
Yeah.
Jake is so.
You want to talk about the dinner? We can start talking about the dinner scene a bit here.
It made me so frustrated because. Like, this is a total stranger, and the mom is like talking about how proud she is of his son or her son. You know what I mean, Jake, and talking about how he was good at like the Genius trivia game, right? That was the whole thing, Genius versus Genius.
Well, yeah, the board game Trivial Pursuit, and a version of it, which is what she calls the Genius
edition, but it's called Genus, and she keeps saying Genius.
Yeah, the Genius edition.
The Genius edition, and then he just flips out. Like he didn't get his like food for the day or something like that, and just starts slamming the table. Ferociously.
I mean, there's quite a bit of build up of him correcting her, which is uncomfortable. But then he full on slams
he just
the table.
slams on it and goes Genius.
Yeah, it's like it's there isn't a Genius edition, Mom. It's the Genius edition.
You're just like, that's so minute. Just let it go, dude. Like, God.
I know, and I understand like why he's doing that, because she emphasized how much. That she would like tell her friends and coworkers and stuff about like, oh, her son knew every answer in the Genius edition. Mm-hmm. So like, I understand it's making him feel bad, but you don't need to address it like this, man. God, it's so uncomfortable. And you're bringing your girlfriend here for the first time? Your girlfriend's
right there. You cannot yell at your mom when your girlfriend's right there. That is like a golden rule.
You shouldn't yell at your mom at all. But
yes, but like that takes it to a whole new level because you're trying to impress somebody. And you're trying to show you're a good person. Like, why would you yell at your mom when your girlfriend said it? It just makes no sense. Mm-hmm. Jake is a jerk.
Yeah, so that's the main thing. And then...
I do want to say something. Which one's worse? Moondog or Jake?
Oh my god.
Moondog's at least likable. I'm going to say Jake's worse.
I guess if I had to be by one of them, like, it would scare me to be around Moondog, but, like, it would be insufferable to be around Jake.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'd be like, Moondog, God, just do something else. But Jake is like, I don't like you. Get away from me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think two other big things happen in the dinner scene. First off, we learn that Lucy, or in this scene, as she's referred as Louisa...
Another L word.
Yeah, just another L name.
Yeah.
Because,
why not? Why not?
We learn that she is an artist, and she likes to paint landscape portraits. And there's a little fun interaction with the dad here, which is a good stand-in for like the like boomer dad who who thinks he understands art, but like really doesn't have much perspective on it.
I think the dad is one of my favorite characters because I think he actually has the most interesting lines because he starts talking about how there's no person in the landscape, so how can I relate to it? And then she's like, well, think of it as you're looking off at a landscape instead of, you being the one in it. And
they have a great interaction.
It just goes over my head. And I'm like, that's kind of true. Like, I get that. Mm-hmm. Like, you want to have art that's relatable. Mm-hmm. So I like that interaction. I thought it was actually really interesting. The dad's probably like one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Interesting development in this story. She pulls out a smartphone. So we know this is modern day. And she pulls out the smartphone to show them the artwork. And
did you see how many calls were on? Did you ever notice that there was like 8 or 9 missed calls that said now,
and they were all from Lucy.
Yeah, they were all from Lucy. So it's like the small little visual things that are supposed to make you feel comfortable.
Yeah, it's just like what? Well, what's that about?
Exactly.
I don't know. I like stuff like that. I had a lot of fun with the Easter egg factor in this movie. Very very fun to rewind and be like, oh, what's that there? That could be something.
Yeah.
I don't think she didn't have the phone call yet, right?
No, because here's an interesting twist. So Jake is being Jake, pressuring her. Oh, you should probably take the phone call. You should probably do that.
Well, not yet. I want to talk about one other thing that happens in the scene because she talks about the story of how they met, which is interesting.
Yeah, that
because
is a good part.
Because it changes.
That is true.
Yeah, this is another scene. This is a recurring theme in this movie where Lucy will kind of just go off on it almost seems like a pre-scripted. I mean, obviously, like for the movie, it's scripted, but within the context of the story, it almost seems like pre-written monologues about how she goes about stuff. And she tells the story of how they met, where Jake was doing trivia night in a bar. She thought he was cute, and she walked up to him and talked to him.
Because he doesn't have the power to do that himself, apparently.
Didn't have the courage to go over there himself. I'm trying to think of.
Well, something that is definitely important to note is it's kind of weird the way he does it, or the way she does it, and whenever she's telling the story, she's like, oh yeah, and he's not really like a good man, or he's not like the best man, because like the mom goes, oh, so you're not really like into him anymore, and she's like, no, and there's like a pause, and then she goes into like, but I still like him now. Like it's a weird like moment. Do you remember what I'm talking about? Where she has like a pause, where she almost like contradicts herself.
Well, no, the pause is so she has intentionally confusing wording.
Yeah, exactly. I know that.
Yeah. But what she's really just saying is that no, she's found him cute. She's like no, so the mom asked something like, oh, so you didn't like him anymore, and then she says no, but what she's saying no to is that she didn't like him, implying that she liked him. So it's just
okay, I didn't catch that. Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was just kind of a little bit of a bait and switch to like keep you on your toes about the story. I think there is some underlying themes there, but I don't really think it's worth going into too deeply at that section because we have quite a bit of ground to cover.
True.
Yeah. So long sequence about how they met, and Louisa starts cleaning up the dinner table. They're wrapping up. Yeah, no, and then
really weird.
And she very much starts seeming like almost a maid.
Yeah.
In this scene.
Well, she's like the same outfit on, but it's like a smock now.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting thing. The young woman, or Louisa, whoever this vague woman
the artist.
Yeah.
Just go with that.
Well, the artist, but they also mentioned that she's a physicist.
That's true.
In this scene. She says she's a physicist, but she also does art.
And poetry, apparently. She's like a jack of all trades.
Yeah, exactly. Jack of all trades. She's, wow.
She's awesome.
Yeah, her outfit changes many, many times in this movie. Very subtly, but it happens all the time. There's probably, I'd be safe to say, there's probably about 10 different outfits that she has on, where that just casually, I mean, she doesn't change into them. It's just, you see her, she's in a different outfit.
New outfit.
So, I mean, you can, we'll leave that one up to interpretation. But yeah, this outfit definitely looks, it's still her sweater, but it looks a little more maidish. And yeah, so then they're about to have dessert. So then they go into the living room. Yeah, the living room we saw earlier. They're cooking chocolate. Mom's cooking chocolate Yule log. Jake's favorite.
She doesn't even seem thankful about, by the way. Point that out.
And this is really the start of the movie where we start seeing some cracks in the veneer of what we've been presented with. This scene has a lot of stuff that does not add up. First of which is probably a phone call, right?
I think she's talking about the ringing in her ear first.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk a little bit about what the mom says there?
Yeah, so she just, I forget what it's called. Something with it starts with a T, but she said she has like a ringing in her ear.
Tinnitus.
Tinnitus, thank you. She has tinnitus, and it's almost like she has whispers in her head. And you're just like, okay, that's like an interesting little tidbit about you. But yeah, it's kind of, I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but I could see how it's like trying to make you feel a little uneasy. So the young woman like talks, is trying to explain, about her life and being a physicist and things like that. And then the mom is like, "Oh, I can't hear that. Can you repeat that?" And like they had to repeat that like multiple times. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. Like, and it just kind of aids to the whole thing of like how she has this problem that has never come up before that we've met her, but like now the ringing is like horrible.
Oh yeah, and
tinnitus.
Yeah, and she really starts
cracking.
Tony Collette, the mom, she really starts going off, almost awkwardly being the circumstances. I mean, your only son brings a girl home, and then you're just letting the whole thing, like you're talking about all of your mental health issues and all this stuff that apparently Jake isn't even very like knowledgeable of.
Yeah. He's kind of quiet, and I was like, oh, that's nice.
Maybe one of the few moments where he could have like spoken up and actually like said like what he knew about the situation.
Exactly.
But I don't know, regardless, he doesn't. And then Lucy gets a call. Sorry, her name changed again. She's Lucia in this room. They call her Lucia.
This is a young woman, man. Yeah.
No, I know, but I want to keep mentioning the moments where like her name changes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. So, so she gets a call from Lucy or Lucia or Louisa. It says one of the names. It says a combination of the names on the calls now. That like the calls been keep coming. And then the family is weirdly pushy of like, take the call.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, take the call. It's like, don't worry, take the call. We won't think it rude.
They're being like Jake right now. Like, they're actually doing like the whole Jake thing when they weren't. They seemed like really chill parents, and then now they're like, take the call. Like, that's rude.
Yeah, very harsh dynamic twist. And it's hard to talk about who is talking when
we could just say it's a man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Some mysterious man.
Kind of sounds like a creeper man, but that's
yeah. Lucy is she gets a call from Lucy, and a man just starts monologuing on there. He says something like, I'm lucid. I don't feel safe. I don't know like how many days I have left. Pretty much suicidal ramblings is what you can get.
Yeah, exactly.
And then she just plays it off like it's nothing. And
honestly, I was gonna ask you what she thought about this, because I think like it is nothing. Like that's the whole thing. Like I don't think she plays it off. I think it like, you know what I mean? She actually thought that was a normal phone call. What do you think? Because she's like, oh, it's my girlfriend. It's fine. Like, I don't know, like, she didn't really play it off, because, like, I've seen her play stuff off in the movie
I mean,
before.
If you want to section this portion of the podcast off into spoiler territory, I think I know exactly what it is.
I'm okay.
Okay, alright, we can maybe reserve, like, an extra 10 minutes something at the end to really just, like, hash it out.
Yeah, okay.
But, so she takes this call, and then she says, she's something like, oh, it was no big deal, and then she claims it was, like, just her friend calling her. Mm-hmm. And pretty much almost immediately after this, stuff starts to get weird. She sits down next to Jake's father, and Jake's mom talks for a little bit, and then while she's talking, her sound, like her audio, like gets muffled, and
I remember
yeah,
that was
and then
weird.
it's a slow pan over to the dad who's looking at her fondly, and his tone of voice and the way he's talking about his mother, very jarring, very disturbing. He starts talking about, I loved when your mother did that. I always loved your mother's smile. I loved her laugh. And there's something I love the most about her. And then he talks about how much he misses her, like as if she's dead. He's looking at her and he's talking to her as if she is dead.
Exactly.
Very, very jarring, bizarre
Change.
portion of the film that keep that in your back pocket. That theme of characters interacting, almost seeming like different parts of their lives, different from what you are seeing on screen. Very common in this movie. In the house, especially.
Yeah. The house is where a lot of the things happen in the story.
Yeah, the house is the entire second act, pretty much.
Yeah, it basically is. Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. Is the next scene she goes up the stairs?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like that's when really everything starts going like rough. So like, let's just probably go to that when she goes upstairs.
So Jake's. So she tries going to the basic. She goes out of the living room to the foyer for some reason. I don't know why. And then she looks back, thinking that they're all going to be there, and all three of them are gone, and the Yule log's gone. And
I
just
remember that. Yeah.
There's nothing there. She's like, "What? Where is everyone?" And then she's calling for Jake. Doesn't know where he is. Just like the parents, he doesn't answer for quite a while.
And then he says, "In a minute."
In a minute. And then she's like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "I'm up here." And then she says, "I'm coming up."
That's why.
And then she goes up there to a door, and this door specifically says, written in paper, taped onto the door, it says, Jake's childhood bedroom. It's worded just like that. And
it's like a time capsule almost into like his life as a kid. Like
absolutely. It's a childhood bedroom. I mean, there's toys everywhere, but there's also
the dead dog's ashes on the shelf.
Jimmy is on an urn on the bookshelf. This room is full of stuff that you can just miss if you just blink.
Probably the most rewatchable part of the film.
I'd say so. Yeah, definitely click through this part a lot.
And I don't know if we said this, but this is on Netflix as well. It's a Netflix original.
Yeah, absolutely. There is, very, very weird stuff in this room. There's a combination of toys. There's the urn. There is
the dad that walks in.
Well, yeah. Sometimes stuff's already in the room. He has a book of renowned film reviewer Pauline Kael in there from the 70s. So already very weird. Why would he have that in his room? Especially if this is modern day.
He also has an Oklahoma music tape.
Yeah, Oklahoma music tape. He referenced Oklahoma earlier. We forgot to mention that in the car. He sang a song from Oklahoma. And started saying some very weird things referencing a high school. Don't know much of what that's about. But out of nowhere, she's looking through stuff in the room, and the dad walks in, and he's much older. He's about 30 years older, I'd say.
Gray hair. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's not on death's door, but he is decrepit. He's senile.
Mm-hmm. He has Alzheimer's.
Yeah, he has Alzheimer's or dementia or something.
The shakes or whatever he called it. He said something about the shakes, and then she's like, Alzheimer's. And he's like, oh yeah, that.
Mm-hmm. And he talks about how she's going to spend the night, and this whole time, Lucy, she's been telling Jake and the parents the whole time, like the blizzard's getting bad, like we have to get back. And then Jake and the dad keep reassuring her, like, don't worry, he has the tire chains in the trunk. The tire chains will do you fine.
Tire chains will be fine.
Yeah, it'll do you fine.
Freaking tire chains.
But he starts getting, earlier when you felt it was like pushy of like trying to get her to spend the night. Now it's like
controlling almost.
Well, no. I think it's a lot more genuine. It's like he doesn't understand. Like he can't.
You're right.
He can't fathom the fact that
he's like, wait, you want to leave? Why?
Yeah, he's like, why? And he's like, I don't understand. And he's like, I'll get you one of my wife's things to wear. And he has that kind of wistful abandon of like, oh, you know, like he tries to
Yeah.
start a thought and then he won't finish it.
And we didn't even touch on this. So the reason she wants to get home is because she has work in the morning, apparently.
Yeah, she claims she has work in the morning. Where does she work? I don't know.
Maybe a waitress, maybe not.
Yeah, Jake implied that she was a waitress, but she's also a physicist, and she's proficient in poetry and art. And actually, in the living room, she mentions that she is studies gerontology, which is very fascinating because that's a study of age. So, and it's really cool. Right after they talk about that, immediately the age stuff starts going off the wall. So I guess So he goes to look for the thing for her to wear, and then she goes down the steps, and at the bottom of the steps, Jake's dad and Jake are there. But Jake's dad is even older than he was before.
Yeah, he's older.
He's senile. This man is on death's door. He is holding one of his wife's things, and it says he has a sticky note that says nightgown on it as he's just shaking, about to hand it to her, because it was like his only task that he was able to, maintain. And he's like, "It's the girl." I was like, "Here, I got this for you." And then she explains to him that she's not going to spend the night. And then he talks to Jake as she's not even in the room, like what's she saying? I don't understand. Like, what is she saying? Like, just doesn't even understand it. Yeah. And then Jake and him walk off.
Next is the mom being. No, wait, that's last.
No, no. We do get a scene of the mom. We get 2 scenes of the mom back to back. We get. She goes. I think I messed with this a little bit, but anyway, up on the same floor, the upper floor of the house where we saw the dad in Jake's childhood bedroom. The mother's pretty old. He's
feeding her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the mom is about. When you first meet them, you probably think they're babies in their 40s or 50s. Mom's easily 7. I mean,
I'd even go 80s.
At this point, yeah, probably, 70s to 80s for sure. In this scene where he's feeding and Jake's feeding her,
very old.
And Lucy's like, "Come on, we have to go out." And then he's like, "In a minute after I feed her."
Yeah,
and whatever, something like that.
Being a real jerk again, Jake.
Yeah, and then they go back down to the living room, and then someone passes right by Lucy as she notices a bunch of toys in the living room down there. And it's Jake's mom, and she
young.
She's young. She's in her 30s. She's
got blonde hair.
She's in her 30s. She is clearly just had Jake at this point in her life.
Yeah.
And she's picking up toys from in there, and she gives Lucy a task. She's live dangerously. Don't listen to what Jake tells you. Go in the basement
and wash the gown that has the vomit on it.
Yeah. Wash the nightgown she was given. Yeah, she mentions there's a gross green splotch on there, and we don't know what that's about until the mom talks to Lucy at this point.
Yeah, because assume Jake, spit up a bit.
Yeah, exactly. It's so hard to talk about this.
I know.
But anyway, she goes down there. Lo and behold, there was no weird, creepy, horror movie trope trapped down there like they were implying.
Yeah. With the camera angles.
Yeah, but we go to a room where all the paintings that Lucy claimed to have painted.
Oh my god, that was so creepy.
These are real paintings.
Yeah.
In the real world, outside of this film, these are real paintings that a famous painter has done. And actually, while we're going on this, in Jake's room, she picks up a book. And she starts reading Bone Dog. It's not even called. She called it Bone Dog, but it's a completely different title. It's the exact same poem she recited in the car that she apparently wrote. So she's confused.
Yeah.
About I thought I wrote this, and then she goes to these paintings. She says, I thought I painted this. And if that wasn't enough of seeing, seeing all of these works done by another artist that she thought she made. She goes to the actual canvas prints of them below, and they say Jake in the bottom right-hand corner, and they're recreations of these posters of the paintings. Very bizarre. She gets another phone call from Lucy down here. It recites the exact same suicidal ramblings, and then Lucy has another inner monologue, which you haven't gotten to see of, which to me is probably the highlight of the film. Lucy's inner monologues are probably so
They're good,
fun.
especially the sheep one.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is probably my favorite one, because now she's talking about oh gosh, I don't remember. I think it might be an Oscar Wilde quote or something.
Yeah.
But she's talking about the concept of how nothing a human can do is original. Our passions are merely quotations of those we admire. And it's very interesting as she is having the revelation of she didn't write that poem, she didn't paint this. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, exactly.
And now she's like, nothing I am is original. Like how I don't even know these artists. Like how.
Mm-hmm. And then don't forget what she finds in the washing machine.
Oh, absolutely no! Right after this, she goes to actually wash the nightgown.
Yeah, she goes to actually wash the nightgown.
And
she sees you can go ahead. Yeah,
sure. Opens the washer and starts seeing janitorial uniforms.
Yeah, janitorial
that
uniforms.
say RHS, something high school.
Yeah, something high school related.
And
there's like 3 of them or 4 or something.
There's it's full of them. It's just full of these. Like that's all they have, various uniforms, and which is very weird. Something we haven't mentioned up until this point because it's not addressed until the very end. There have been random snippets of a janitor. You just see random scenes of a janitor in a high school doing janitorial things. Watching the kids perform the musical Oklahoma. Very, very weird connection to this narrative that we're getting with Lucy and Jake. This janitor also watches a movie, which oh gosh, I cannot remember the director, but a very long sequence of this movie that seems to almost parallel the way that Jake and Lucy interact with each other. Very weird. So that's the only thing we know about a janitor. Why is it in the basement?
Until we see the clothing.
Exactly. Like why is this in the basement here?
Yeah.
It's not addressed.
Never
that happens. And then she goes back up there, and I think pretty much as soon as that happens, they get right back in the car, right?
No, there's another sequence you're forgetting.
Go for it.
So she walks back up there, and now his mom is dead. And he's mourning the loss of his mom.
Right.
And he's crying, and she's like, "Okay, are we ready to go now?" And he's like, "Yeah, we'll go in just a minute." But like he's mourning the loss of the mom. And then the dad walks in, just like the mom's not dead. But Dad
walks in. Remember, last time we saw him, he was about 90.
Oh yeah,
he's the youngest we've ever seen him. He's younger than when we walked in. He's in his 30s, right? Probably. He's spry as a chicken. You don't even know what's don't even know what's happening at this point in the movie. Then they go to the car.
Yep.
Yeah. And then they go to the car. Put the tire
it's abrupt. On. It's abrupt. You're watching Jake, and you're like, okay, maybe give me something about this character, Jake. He cares about his mom, and he's mourning her loss. And then just boom, put the chains on, and then they're on the road, and we're back. We're about to start the third act.
Yep.
I'd say the third act started with Tulsi Town, though.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Do we want to just go up to Tulsi Town?
Yeah, well, I'll mention a few things that happened in this car ride, and then I don't even know how much of the end of this movie I want to talk about.
After Tulsi Town, I think it's off limits. Yeah,
I like that. Okay, that works for me. So, talking about the drive to Tulsi Town, or why we're even going there in the first place. So,
yeah, he just abruptly is like, what would be good? Ice cream now.
Well, not yet. I want to talk about what happens a little bit before that.
Oh, okay. Oh, you want to talk about the film.
Lucy's personality has completely changed. She, first off, she's smoking. She's smoking a cigarette.
Oh yeah,
in the car. She had mentioned she's doing that. The windows are up. Like she's casually smoking. Doesn't make sense. And Jake brings up this movie that he likes. By I don't remember the Cassavetes. It's a movie from the 70s, and she recites. They start having a discussion about this film, much like we're doing.
He really likes it. That needs to be good.
Much like we're doing here. Yeah, he loves it. This is one of his favorite films, and she breaks out into this scathing review. Like this is a very weird section of the moment where Lucy just it seems like she's reading from a teleprompter. Like this is very clearly a pre-written review of this movie.
Yeah.
And what do you know? After doing a little bit of sleuthing here, this review that she recites is, of course, yet another thing that she didn't make. This is, word for word, a review of this film by Pauline Kael, who we saw featured in a book on the shelf in Jake's childhood bedroom.
Yep. So you guys can interpret that how you want, but you see things are kind of starting to come together a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, nothing in this film seems to be authentic, trustworthy, real, or original.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember. Do you remember how they even get to the point of getting ice cream while you?
Yeah, he just suggests it, and she's like, okay. Like for the first time in the movie, she gives him a little, but she's like, I mean, I'm not that hungry. And then he's like, it'd be really good, a frozen treat right now. That sounds good. And she's just like, she kind of gives in. She's like, okay, fine.
Keep in mind, the blizzard has only gotten worse. Like, this is getting to a dangerous point of they might be frozen in if they don't get home soon.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, no, we have to change. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Change, I guess.
I guess. So they go to Tulsi Town, and it's just this little shack, this little ice cream shack. And Jake acts very bizarre here. It makes sense once you see the entire thing, watching it over. Give this thing two watches for sure. But Jake is like, he's so eager to get to there, and now he's kind of afraid to talk to the people.
He said they won't even come out because if they see him, that they won't even serve.
Yeah, exactly. But he says he knows them, and she's like, and he's like,
well,
some
how?
of them, yeah. How? And he says, I don't know, I know some of them from. He didn't say how. Yeah, he says, I know some of them. And he's like, can you do it for me? Can you order it? And we see, we see some young high school age girls come out. And I think it's worth mentioning, these girls look strangely familiar, perhaps in the scene where we see one of the janitorial scenes of all things, where they're performing Oklahoma on the stage. These two girls are very prominently featured, three girls are very prominently featured performing the show. In there, I believe they're the exact same actresses. So it's weird they're in this scene as well.
The only thing, are we sure that the third girl, the one with the rashes on, was the same person? I thought that was a new girl, honestly.
No, she was featured in a different sequence, but she was one of the girls from the high school.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Gosh, I don't even know how much we want to talk about this. There's an awkward interaction that Lucy has with this third girl who very much seems, I mean, in the context of the story, like the outcast.
She's shy.
She has
rashes on her arm.
She has a rash on her arm, and she's talking about the two other, the kind of preppy blonde girls who we saw originally, who were performing in Oklahoma, who come out first. She talks about how she feels about them. She's like how fake they are, whatever. And then she tries to talk to Lucy a bit, like, oh, they're not like that. They order their ice cream. Jake pays for it. There's something, I think, when the girls like see Jake, like they're a bit.
They start laughing.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah. They start laughing at him, and then Lucy's very much. She didn't even do anything about it. She's just like, that's weird.
Yeah.
And they get back in the car, and they have their ice creams, and then I guess we'll mention
the ice cream never goes away. Like they eat it, and it's still full. And that actually, I won't go into, but it aids to like basically the kind of, I'd say, the climax of the film. When you say that's a climax, because like the ice cream is melting, you know what I mean, and getting on his car, and he wants to dump it somewhere because it's annoying him, and he can't get over it, and he starts smashing his steering wheel, and he's getting really frustrated about it. And Lucy's like, calm down, like it's not a big deal. But it's just interesting because Lucy was literally saying how good it was a minute ago, and there is no ice cream gone. It is full.
Well, it changes. It keeps changing. Sometimes there's like a few bites taken out of it, and then sometimes it's overflowing, like more than we saw in the original.
I only noticed it was overflowing, but okay.
It cuts back and forth. It's so subtle. It's just like, okay, hey, they had some bites, they didn't. It's weird. It's just supposed to throw you off guard. And then I don't remember why this happens. I just want to say on where they're going. Jake says that he wants to visit his old. Oh yeah, so they're talking about throwing out the ice cream.
Yeah. For like 5 minutes.
Yeah, because it's melting. It's melting in the car. Somehow, it's a blizzard. They're not keeping the car hot at all. They're freezing. Somehow the ice creams are melting. And then he's like, oh, we should probably just throw them out. Yeah. Lucy mentioned that he probably just throw them out. Somewhere. Yeah, just dump them. It's like, yeah, toss them out the window. And Jake refuses to let that happen. He's like, oh, you know what's actually close to Tulsi Town? My old high school. Yeah. They have a trash can over there that we can use. Dispose of it properly. And then they end up getting on this really seedy road to go over there. And
she's like, I don't want to get stuck out here, Jake. Like, this is getting dangerous. This blizzard is getting
worse. And then he's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. Let's do it. Yeah, just dismissive, creepy, stupid idiot.
Really creepy.
And I'm not gonna talk about anything else.
Yeah, you gotta watch it, because after that, the setting changes again. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, and it's up to you to interpret that. Definitely give this one 2 watches for sure. Gosh, how do you want to do this? You want to section off a portion of this to maybe be like to have a spoiler discussion, and like with a solid spoiler warning.
It came out too recent. I don't think we should spoil even in this different section. I think we should just keep it to see what they think about the movie.
Alrighty. Well, closing statements. I love this story. I think this has a lot of brilliance to it, and I've been referencing a lot of how the book did things differently, because this is based off a book, and I think the way the book handles some things clears up a lot of the random ambiguity that Kaufman decided to put in here. But overall, the story here, why the story exists, the implementation of these settings and age and monologues and use of like real works, I think there's some serious genius to the way the story is told. I think it's safe to say there is nothing like this movie. I've never seen a movie do this the way that it does. It's so hard to even discuss it.
It's very unique. I will say something interesting the book does is the janitor is obviously a character. We've mentioned him. But Lucy and the janitor have like 2 separate sections for their talking. And the janitor talks more in the book and gives you more context to why he's there. Yeah,
very true. In this movie, all of the janitor's sequences scenes are they're visual, entirely silent. Very weird. Don't know why he never speaks. Because in the book he talks up a storm, and it connects everything a lot better. But yeah, this movie is very very twist reliant, so you gotta see it. Gotta see it. This is as far as twists go, this is up there with like Sixth Sense for me. Not necessarily not quality of film. Sixth Sense got to your film, but as far as the twist though, this is a Shyamalan level twist. I mean, this is quality work.
I would agree. I will say I feel like it depends how astute you are with film. Let's be honest here, but I do feel like it plays its card a little early, and like we don't want to get too into that. But I do feel. Don't you feel that like it does play it a little early? Like it is obvious.
True, but I think that might be why. I can't even say what I wanted to say.
Yeah. I know. I've had to censor myself like twice during this podcast. Like from saying something that could potentially spoil it, because there's so many things that come back.
This movie is a delicate dance of. This movie is a very very delicate dance of diverting your expectations and confusing you. I think Jeff seems to think that there isn't that the payoff wasn't very satisfactory. It's a bittersweet ending and resolution for sure, but I thought while I do wish there was more, it ended on more of a crescendo.
Agreed.
I still love this thing. I really liked it.
I will give it a 7.5 out of 10. I think I gave Platform the same score. Actually, if I give Platform the same score, I should go up like probably an 8. Because this is better than Platform.
Mm-hmm.
The characters, no. The Platform had the better characters, but this is better in general and less of a bore. The Platform had some boring moments. This was not really boring. But I was willing to give this, like, I was on the edge of my seat almost the whole movie. I was willing to give it like a 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. But that ending really hurt me because I was like, this is a 2 hour and 14-minute movie. Like, it's not like super long, but it feels long because of how many breaks there are and how many age things that happen. And there's just so much that happens, especially in the house. The house is like the second act is a long act, and it's good, but it does drag a little bit for me because there's no payoff.
Exactly. And then, I mean, if what we've described today doesn't sound like your type of movie, this definitely isn't your type of movie.
Yeah, it's very dialogue heavy.
At the very most, this movie has 6 different settings.
Yeah,
and that's being generous.
And don't multitask when you watch this movie. It's not one of those movies. You have to pay attention 100% of the time. Treat it like you're watching, like, Ozark, Breaking Bad. Like, you need to fully be invested.
Exactly. But I think that's something really special, and I want more people to see it. I know this is getting some traction, but it doesn't even seem to be on everyone's radar. So I want to make sure this one gets. Really wanted to talk about this one. Make sure it got the attention it deserved. This came out like last week.
Yeah.
This is brand new, hot off the presses. As Jeff mentioned, Charlie Kaufman, director of Eternal Sunshine, The Spotless Mind. He also did Being John Malkovich and Anomalisa. So if you like those headier, surrealist, playful dramas, I think you're really going to like this one. This one has a much darker tone than a lot of his other work, but still has some really light, and because of that jarring parts that at the end of the day, I think weave together in the end in a pretty, Jeff might disagree with me, but I think pretty satisfying way.
Yeah, but I will say, like, during the ending sequences, I was thinking, like, I kind of wish I was watching Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind a little bit. I really do enjoy that film, and I really enjoy the fact that this isn't really a spoiler, but there's snow on a beach, and it's such a beautiful scene, and, like, there's a scene later that reminds me of that, but... Yeah,
there's an intentional... Kaufman loves referencing his work. There's an actual... Yeah,
there are Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
This isn't much of a spoiler. Once Jake and Lucy actually get to the school, there is a shot-for-shot remake of the car parked in the snow scene from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which I thought was very, very, very nice, cute little touch there. But anyway, I don't think I'm gonna go 9 for this. That's a bit rough for me. I'll do an 8.5.
If I gave the platform 7.5, I'd give this an 8, but I'm pretty sure I gave it a 7, actually, so I'll go to 7.5. That ending really did dampen it for me. Yeah, I'm going to stick with my 8.5. I think that's pretty... Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid score. If anything we said today interests you, check it out for sure. It's no beach bum.
Yeah. There's no beach bum. With Beach Bum, we don't see Beach Bum. Watch this. I'm thinking of ending things. Yes. That's the name of this one.
And watch Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind as well. Very good film.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey.
Well, that's all we got today. Make sure to check out the other shows we have here on the Arrow Podcast Network, and go to southeastarrow.com for all of your news and multimedia for any of your campus needs. And that's all, folks.
That's all, folks.